In the last lecture, we explored the dawn of number systems. These early number systems were concerned only with numbers used to count objects. In mathematics, we call these counting numbers the natural numbers. The smallest natural number is 1. And there is no limit to the largest natural number. As we also saw in the previous lecture, there are many number systems which could be invented to represent natural numbers. For instance, the Romans used a natural number system which by today's standards seems quite complicated.
So the YU collection is a really nice complement to so many of the procedural videos that we have at Hippocampus that teach you the how. This gives you the bigger picture of the YU. Another collection that we added in December, is STEMBite, which, as I mentioned, is in math and biology and physics, and I will be demoing that one in the math. One thing I do want to do is, where are my playlists? I am lost. Let's go back. Just a second, because my playlist listing is short. Am I not logged in? I've logged out. How did I log out? Logging back in. There we go. Now I can see all my playlists. So we were just in YU. We looked at the Roman numerals, and I have a collection, a playlist collection, favorites from the new collections. So all I need to do to collect some of my favorite videos from around Hippocampus is find them in Hippocampus and then drag and drop right into my playlist. So now I have my first addition to the playlist favorites from the new collections, this one from YU. On the algebra and geometry page, again, we have new presentations and new worked examples. The YU collection, that's the other half of what we just saw. We've got algebra foundational concepts for students to get that broad Y overview. But we also have a large collection, our biggest new collection, which is Phoenix College. Phoenix College was a collection created by James Souza, who's a math instructor at Phoenix College, and they were originally created as a collection called Math is Power for You. They are procedural in nature, and they are excellent at showing the students step by step how to solve particular problems and introducing the problems in the presentations, and then in the worked examples, how to solve those problems. So let's take a look at Introduction to Angles. And I will maximize the screen so you can see it, large version. One of the especially nice things about all the videos in the Phoenix College collection is that during the presentation, he will introduce each video with the goals of what you are supposed to learn through the video.
Welcome to an introduction to angles. The goals of this video are to know the basic angle vocabulary and also to determine how angles are measured. A portion of a line that starts at a point A and continues through B is called a ray. Ray AB can be written using this notation. An angle consists of two rays with a common endpoint.
So you can see how these are set up to very clearly walk the students through step by step, in geometry in this particular instance, what is a ray, what is an angle. He covers points, lines, the entire gamut. As you can see, there's lots of content here, and the Phoenix College collection really adds a lot of depth to the offerings at Hippocampus in some of those areas where we were not all that deep before, in particular geometry, trigonometry, and he's got lots of calculus and advanced math for college-bearing courses. So we're quite pleased that James was willing to share his content here at Hippocampus. As some of you, well, actually, let me do this first. So one of the things that, if you are familiar with how the NROC content, how our own sort of, the content that we created at Monterey Institute, such as Algebra 1, an open course, if you know how that's organized at Hippocampus, you'll understand that we have the presentations, the original introduction to a concept. At at Hippocampus in the presentations area, and then corresponding worked examples for that content down in the worked examples area. The same is true for Phoenix College. So you'll see the Phoenix College geometry presentations in the presentation area, and down in worked examples, you'll find the corresponding worked examples. It may just be that you want to have those presentations and worked examples already aligned for your students so that they don't have to go looking. And you can do that very easily in the playlists. I've already created a playlist here from the Phoenix College content for measuring angles using the properties of parallel lines. And basically I just dragged and dropped 2 presentations and 2 worked examples, and I can send my students to a unique URL just for this playlist that shows just those 4 that I've organized for them. So it's one of the many things you can do with a playlist. You can also use playlists as an online lesson plan to reference later in classroom presentations. You can use playlists to make homework assignments or use them as a flipped classroom model or in any other kind of blended or online classroom environment. Or you can simply just use a playlist to collect your favorite videos from among the subject areas and content at Hippocampus. So the playlists are a really powerful way to organize your content. On this particular algebra and geometry page, you may have heard that the University of California College Prep, or UCCP content that we have had a license for the last 10 years is retiring in June. We are sad to see it go, glad that we are refreshing Hippocampus with new content, but one of the items I want to point out to you what is going to be retired in late June. And on this page, this particular course, Algebra 1 in Spanish, will be retired in June. On the Calculus and Advanced Math page, we have most of the Phoenix College collection. So this is the NROC collection. These are the UCCP courses that will be retiring in June. The fresh content that we now have and have access to till the year 2033, we have a 20-year license for this, is the Phoenix College Trigonometry, which is quite deep. There's a lot of information there. Calculus 1, which covers differentiation, derivatives, and limits. And I'm going to scroll through this a bit quickly. I've demoed already what this content looks like, so you've got an idea. But this is lots and lots and lots of presentation and worked examples videos in the calculus areas. Calc 2 is integral calculus. Like I said, there are 1,500 or more in this collection, in the Phoenix College collection that James has created. Calculus 3 would be multivariable calculus. So we're really getting into the higher, the early college math level here. It's really nice to have that depth. We're happy to have it. Linear algebra, differential equations. We also have one video from the YU collection for infinite series that happens to fit very nicely with what we have going on with Phoenix College. So one of those things you can do with a playlist is combine content from the different collections. So here we start off with an infinite series video from YU, which explains what is an infinite series and how does it work. And then we can go right from there into a Phoenix College presentation that gets more into the nitty-gritty and how to solve problems. Statistics and probability. We have no new content from this December upload of content. Everything is, let's see, art of problem solving we added last summer, but there's nothing new on here and there's nothing going away in June, nothing from UCCP. So let me take a moment to take a break and see if anybody has any questions on the content that we've added to math. It's awfully quiet on this end. Any questions?
There was one. We've been answering some questions in the chat area. A couple of questions that came through. One was asking about the drag and drop functionality on the playlist, whether that's limited to certain browsers. Do you know?
No, it should not be limited to, well, I take that back. You cannot do that on an iOS device. That's the only sort of operating system in which you can't do the drag and drop. But because of that, you can't even log in on an iOS device. You can only view someone else's playlist. You can look at a playlist, but you can't create or manipulate one from an iOS device, such as an iPad or an iPhone.
Great, thank you. There was also a question about whether or not any of the new collections are captioned to address some of the ADA concerns folks have. Do you know?
We did not caption any ourselves. If they came to us captioned, then we have the captioning available. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that is automatically captioned is the Ocean Today content from NOAA that I'll be demonstrating a little bit later.
And there was also a question from a member asking whether or not there is a list of the content that's slated to expire soon. There's not a link to the collections document at Hippo, is there?
It's not at Hippo, but we can send it out. It's actually right here. So we have a PDF file that goes through all of the new collections. Nearly all of the new collections, we have a 20-year license. One of them, National Geographic, we have a 10-year license. All of those are renewable, and that one PDF document will go through which of the content belongs to the University of California that they are retiring in June.
And for those that have asked, I'll send that document to you directly, Beth. There was also another question about whether or not folks have to be a member to use these learning objects, and I'll actually field that one. Membership brings with it the rights to use these objects in curriculum that's developed for sharing among instructors. A membership allows for institutional use, so broader than just a single classroom or working with a few students. But the site is actually available for everyone in the world to use to supplement their classroom instruction as a single teacher or as an individual learner. So that's really our goal, is to make these resources available to lots of folks. We just have some extra privileges and additional support for folks who are trying to make use of them for standard curriculum. Thank you. Go ahead, Beth.
Okay, so now we're going into our natural science section, and we'll start with biology. Last summer, we introduced some new content from Dallas County Community College, and their multimedia branch is called Dallas Learning Solutions. We have brand new content from them now in December for biology, which includes some areas that we've never had content for at Hippocampus before. In particular, we have nutrition and digestion. We have health and wellness. And we have physical education. These are all video-based with some animations in certain areas like digestion, which are awfully hard to get video of and get the concepts across. So let's take a quick look at one of their videos from PE.
Exercise sessions should always begin with a warm-up and end with a cool down. The warm-up changes the body from a resting physiology to an exercise physiology. The heart rate and respiration rates elevate gradually. The blood capillaries dilate slowly to prepare for the increased blood flow. The joints become lubricated, and the muscles slowly elongate to prepare them for the increased range of motion.
So it's all professionally done, high-quality video with some animation mixed in. The STEM Bite collection we introduced, oh, you know what? Let me jump down here for just a second. A lot of the Dallas Learning collection is not only in the presentations area, but they also have interactive activities which are listed down here in the simulations area. So for this particular one, the simulations are for the nutrition basics and for digestion. So here's an example of one of their Flash-based activities. And I say it like that because Flash is not compatible with iOS, iPad, and iPhone. Nearly all of the rest of the content that we have added is iOS compatible. It works on your iPhone or on your iPad. But these particular simulations are Flash-based. The idea of this particular activity is helping students learn to interpret food labels. So they get a question of how many grams of carbohydrate are in each serving. So they have to learn how to read the label, go down here to the carbohydrates. It says 19. If I get the answer wrong, it just tells me I'm incorrect. Once I get it right, it explains, and then it gives me access to the next question. So this is a nice way to have students practice what they've learned and make sure that they understand the content. In biology, this one, biology for AP, is one of the UCCP. So that's the item on this particular page that will be retired in June. And I introduced STEM Byte in the math area, and I wanted to show you what it looks like here in biology. So these were created by Andrew Vanden Heuvel, who is an online instructor who made a name for himself at Michigan Virtual University, and it uses Google Glass to show STEM concepts at work in the real world. So let me show you what that looks like.
For this STEM Bite, it's time for a snack. At snack time today, I've been wondering about DNA. Normally when I think about DNA, I think about things that are alive, cows and sheep and people and kids. But I was thinking about it more, everything that's ever been alive is made up of cells, and all cells have DNA in them. So then I started thinking, what around me has DNA in it? I mean, this pretzel. Does this pretzel have DNA in it? Well, let me think. I mean, it's got salt and wheat, and wheat used to grow out of the ground, so yeah, I think it does. How about this table? Does this table have DNA in it? It's made up of metal. Metal's never been alive, so no, the table doesn't have DNA. What about my deck? My deck's made up of wood cells, so my deck has DNA in it. That's crazy. The deck has DNA. Flowers, DNA. Apples, DNA. Peanut butter?
Okay, so you get the idea of how he's using Google Glass to bring classroom concepts into the world that the students are so familiar with. And it's very fresh content and a lot of fun to watch and make you go, oh, I get it now. So I'm really pleased that Andrew chose to share his content here at Hippocampus. Like the content from YU, Andrew is still making new videos for STEM Byte. So every 6 months or so, we will be adding new videos to both the STEM Byte collection and the YU collection as that brand new content is created. NASA, this is the first time we've seen the NASA e-clips on Hippocampus. The NASA e-clips are in biology, chemistry, environmental science, and physics, and I'm going to demo those on the physics site. Chemistry, we have new content from NASA. Nothing is here from UCCP, so this page will not change in June, but I'm going to show NASA in the physics area. On the physics page, we do have quite a lot of content from the UCCP that will be going away. We have new content coming in from STEM Byte, especially in physics, which is Andrew Vanden Heuvel's original subject area of expertise. And we've got new content, as I mentioned, from NASA. The NASA content is divided into two chunks. There's a chunk for 9th through 12th graders called Launchpad, and there's a chunk for 6th through 8th graders called Real World. But really, if you look at the material, you can mix and match those pretty well because they're all introductory, informational videos on, again, how concepts they're working on at NASA fit into the real world. So it's a really nice way to help those students who are struggling with understanding how concepts they're learning in class fit into the real world. So let's take a look at NASA. We're going to go to Apollo 11.
Welcome to NASA Launchpad. I'm your host, Vince Whitfield. The year was 1969. The anticipation was high. The impossible had become possible. The world was united with a footstep and a single phrase.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So NASA collection is, of course, a permanent collection at Hippocampus. In earth science, checking my time, I'm right on time, that's good. In earth science, we have new content from the NOAA collection. We are losing the retiring the environmental science and environmental science from AP. Those belong to UCCP. We have new content from NOAA. Now, we already had some content from NOAA at Hippocampus, the 16 original ones from the environmental science course. Those are still going to be at Hippocampus, but now we have two new collections from NOAA. Ocean Today is more of a public information presentation, and I'll show you what that looks like with their video on tsunami awareness. NOAA is, of course, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
It can be many miles long, from 1 to 100 feet high, traveling at 400 miles per hour. This ocean monster is known as a tsunami, and it can wreak havoc on coastal populations and landscapes.
So we had a question earlier about closed captioning. As you can see, this material came to us with closed captioning incorporated, and it is still here and available. One of the things I keep forgetting to do is go ahead and add all my favorites into my playlist. If you'll notice that no matter what subject page I'm on at Hippocampus, my playlists come with me, which means that even if I started a playlist in math, I can add relevant pieces of information or relevant learning objects from physics or environmental science and make a cross-disciplinary playlist quite easily. That's the Ocean Today subset of the NOAA collection. The other new subset is the Environmental Visualization Lab, which is a series of scientists from NOAA, real scientists, discussing the work that they do at NOAA. And I particularly like this collection because the scientists that they interview are all different ages, both genders, but with different accents from wherever they happen to have come from. And it's a very nice sort of role modeling for students to see real scientists at work and who don't always look like some of those NASA engineers we see from the 1950s. So let me see. Environmental Visualization Lab. Come on. Oh, I'm going to minimize. There we go. Mapping the Arctic Ocean.
What we're looking at is a map of the topography of the Arctic Ocean. How does the ocean surface change in height from one region to the other? And what we're looking at in terms of the Western Arctic is an area of higher sea surface height, and in the Eastern Arctic, an area of lower sea surface height. These two regions come together to transport water from one part of the Arctic to the other. As the currents move, they also are carrying sea ice flows from one region of the Arctic to another.
So you can get an idea of the scientists who are explaining their work in a very clear way. And it's nice to see their enthusiasm and describing the things that they've been working on. So let's go ahead and put that in the playlist. So another of the 7 new collections we have that we're really pleased to get is the National Geographic Creative Collection for Environmental Science. I don't think anybody needs an introduction to National Geographic, and of course they have wonderful footage of things that are events that are going on in the world. The biggest chunk of the National Geographic Creative Collection that we are adding is here in environmental science. We do also have content from them in U.S. history and world history, which is very exciting, which I'll show in a moment. But for now, here's the Mount Etna volcanologist.
When Mount Etna wakes up, everyone notices. Mount Etna gives a fireworks show like no other. From his office at Mount Etna National Park, Salvatore Capo has a unique vantage.
Okay, so we've got lots of different short videos. Most of these are 1 to 3 minutes long from National Geographic in environmental science. And we have more content from NASA also in environmental science. Any questions on the natural sciences? I'll take a break here because I'm really not seeing any questions in the questions panel. So I'm happy to answer any that may have come up.
I'll give folks a chance to type in if they have some questions, but there was a question earlier about when are these new content collections available, and I just wanted to remind everyone that they're available now, that they were published in late December, and they should be viewable here.
I'm demonstrating from the live site, so they're there now.
Great. Some questions about whether or not there are also, beyond presentational materials, whether or not there are some practice locations, whether some of the objects include integrated practice.
No, only the Dallas content with the interactive activities and the math content with the worked examples. There are also some test prep materials from Phoenix College for SAT, which is the first time we've had SAT math practice. And that's pretty much the extent of the problems, the sort of activities and problem solving.
With the exception of the NROC collection of math objects, which includes integrated practice within the objects throughout.
Yes, I was only talking about those 7 new collections that we brought in. The NROC content, our own content, has a lot of that, all integrated into, in fact, let me take a quick look at that for people who may not be familiar. In the Launch to Course area, we've got our own Algebra 1 and Open Course, Semester 1, Semester 2, and all of our developmental math opens up into a separate, outside Hippocampus Moodle website where you can get the full course.
There was also a question about someone was having trouble finding the NOAA collection. Do you want to show them again how they can quickly find a specific collection if they don't want to look through this area?
Sure. So here it's organized by subject, but over here, things are organized by collection. Usually we put a logo. So of course, NROC is our own homegrown collection. Phoenix College, YU, Khan Academy, FET, STEMbyte. I'm going to move this over so I can see more of the scrolls. We do not have permission from the government to use the NOAA logo, so we have this lovely little scene that is NOAA-ish with NOAA underneath it. Nor do we have permission to use on our homepage the National Geographic logo. Some other company has purchased the rights for that for lots of money. So we have, and we can't use their name on the homepage either. So now you all know that this little Roman Colosseum indicates the National Geographic collection. Some of our other collections we'll be going through later. Here's NASA. Let me show you. So for example, STEMbyte, which we've looked at, if I click on the STEMbyte, all of the STEMbyte collection from math, biology, and physics are gathered on this one collection page. So if you know in particular you want something from STEMbyte, you are better off going directly to that collection icon rather than into the subject pages.
Beth, there was also a question about the level of coverage for environmental science, whether or not it would be comprehensive for an introductory college course in environmental science. No, not yet. I would love to find something like that, and I'm always on the lookout for new collections. At this point, we do have, let me click again. The new content from National Geographic, from NASA, and from NOAA. And a teacher could very easily use this content from Hippocampus plus other websites outside Hippocampus to build a new course in the playlist format. But I would not say that what we have from NOAA, National Geographic, and NASA, as it stands right now, is a ready-to-go course for introductory college. So the idea would be, in terms of how we would use it, would be they could use playlists. Playlists also, as Beth just hinted at, accommodate outside links from other areas, so you can pull content from other resources into playlists as well. But these would be great supplemental materials for an online course, but not comprehensive, and doesn't include assessments and activities and that sort of thing. Exactly. Okay. That is most of them. Real quickly, and then there was a question about which courses we have. So at the end, Beth, maybe you can come back and talk about courses versus objects at the very end. Sure. Economics, we'll go briefly through that. Dallas Learning Solutions, last summer we added general business, but in December we added accounting principles and macroeconomics. And we have some more of their simulations available that relate to economics. There is nothing here that will be retiring in June. It's all
staying just as is. This is a biggie, history and government. It's one of our most popular pages at Hippocampus. UCCP owns the collection that I've highlighted here. That will be retiring in June. We have been adding new collections, including last summer, Dallas, U.S. History before 1877 and since 1877. And now we've added 3 new ones in December. So we just saw some National Geographic from Environmental Science. Let's take a quick look at what they have for U.S. History and World History. These are shorter collections, mostly because we didn't want to bring in anything that had less than a 10-year license. And a lot of their U.S. history and world history licenses were only available for a year or so. So we only wanted to take the content that we knew would be up there for a long time. So let's take a look.
They were the first people ever to live in North America. Exactly when they came and how they arrived is still a mystery. But many scientists believe that as long as 30,000 years ago, some hunters from Asia walked or sailed along the coast of a land bridge that once connected Russia to Alaska. Their descendants became known as Native Americans or American Indians.
World history. For the very first time in Hippocampus, we have some world history, which is very exciting.
It is known as the cradle of civilization. Beneath the desert of modern Iraq, in the greatest depths of history, the civilizations of Mesopotamia developed between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers.
A brand new collection we added in December came from Moments in American History. This was, let me get on one of those so that you can see what's there. Moments in American History. We're doing Alexander Hamilton. Where's Hamilton? Come on. There he is. This was created by Tom Christian at the Thorpe School District in Washington State, with a grant from the U.S. Department of Education, and was produced by the Media Productions Department of Central Washington University. And know that if you see a person on screen speaking, because of the way this webinar is coming out of my computer and going right back in, the audio may appear out of sync, but it's only because of the webinar situation. When you watch it on your computer, it will look just fine.
All of us are indebted to Alexander Hamilton for really putting together what we think of as the foundation for the American monetary and banking system. Hamilton's idea of having a decimalized currency. We're used to thinking in terms of dollars and cents, but of course, at the time of independence, we were using British currency, or I should say British pound sterling, which was divided into 20 shillings, and shillings were not units of 10, they were units of 12.
Okay, so that's Moments in American History, divided up by era for the different videos that we have there, and then U.S. History from the Virginia Historical Society, which of course is the historical society from one of our nation's oldest original states, mostly focusing on Jamestown and the Civil War era.
The first battle between armored ships called ironclads was fought in the waters of Hampton Roads in the Tidewater area of Virginia in the spring of 1862. At the beginning of the Civil War, President Lincoln ordered a blockade of all southern ports as part of General Winfield Scott's Anaconda Plan. The idea was to cut off all trade between the Confederate States and other countries like England and France, so the South wouldn't have the supplies they needed to fight a war.
Drop that over to my little playlist there. They have two styles of videos at the Virginia Historical Society, the ones you just saw, which was mostly what they have in their Civil War, but they also have some presentations from their museum and their archives, which are pretty cool.
This document is one of 12 surviving plats, land surveys, produced by George Washington as surveyor of Culpeper County.
So introducing some of their collection in a more interview-like style. Let's go ahead and put that one up in the playlist. So now you can see I've been creating a playlist all along when I've remembered to do it of favorites from the new collections, and they traverse all the different subject areas, and they just are a collection of the videos that I like. So there's lots you can do with the playlists. If I wanted to click on the edit button, I could rearrange them. I can give my students the unique URL that goes to the new page, but those are the 7 new collections and some of the things that you can do with them with the playlist functionality. If we go to the home page, psychology page is only the University of California content, so that whole subject page will be retired in June. Sociology has no changes. English has the new collections that we added in the summer from SciTech and from Dallas Learning, and it's waiting for our new developmental English course that we are developing internally at Mighty to be launched probably late 2014 or sometime in 2015. And religion is not changing either. So those are our shiny new 7 new collections at Hippocampus. Phoenix College, YU, STEM Byte, new NOAA content, National Geographic, Moments in American History, Virginia Historical Society, and NASA. Happy to answer any questions. Terry, what did you want me to go back through and look at? The full courses?
Well, let me just, I'll try and answer a couple that have come through and send some your way. There was a question about where are there actually full courses, and so the full courses that exist are really just from the NROC collection at this point. And moving forward, after some of the UC content is retired, that will be primarily the math content and then the new English content when it's available. Those full courses may sit on your own learning management systems if you're a member, and we support you in putting those resources into your system, and also the accompanying instructor resources, assessments, and other resources that make it a full course. We do work with our member community also to try and share derivative courses that they may have adapted. And some of our members have been working with some of the new history content to try and develop a new, more full-blown history course that folks could use. So that's a collaborative content development effort that we continue to work on with our members. There is a question, Beth, about what other kind of content we're looking for in college-level biology.
Oh, I would love to find more from biology. I'm actually working with a couple of different possible content donators right now, donors, I guess. Yes, I would love to find more for biology, and I would love to find more for physics that is more along the lines of what Phoenix College has. So if anyone has any recommendations as to where to go to look, please send it to me. Would love to hear from you and go looking for those, or at least know where they are so that we can encourage people to link out to them in the playlist area if that's the easiest way to start it out, to get access to some content.
Thank you, Beth. And then there was a question about how much of the content was CC licensed. And I don't know beyond the con course. Can you speak to that?
I can. Phoenix College is CC by SA. YU is not. That's proprietary. So is STEM Byte. That these are both copyrighted, fully copyrighted, as is National Geographic. NOAA is public domain. Moments in American History is copyright. Virginia Historical Society is copyright. NASA is public domain. So the ones that are public domain, of course, NASA, NOAA, that's public domain. And the ones that are CC BY would be Phoenix College and Khan Academy.
And Bethan, there's a really great question about how you decide on what content you include. How do you curate this collection?
Well, first of all, we have to find content that is on target academically for the students that we serve at Hippocampus. That would be basically 7th grade through early college. We have to take a look and see if it is multimedia rich. Hippocampus distinguishes itself by being a multimedia repository. So if it's a wonderful paper on something, it really doesn't have a place here. We are all about video, animation, and simulation. So I go looking for this, and if I can find the people behind it, and if I like the content, I will approach them to see if they're willing to donate it to Hippocampus. And if that is the case, then I present that package to our editorial team, who reviews it and then makes a recommendation for a subject matter expert to go through and take a look and see if it is worthy of inclusion at Hippocampus. And if so, and if we can get all the paperwork together, we can get the new collections up and running.
For those of you that are members of our project, we do make we have the links and the content available in other ways for you to use when you're course building rather than just through the Hippocampus site. So contact us if you're interested in learning a little bit more about how we can more readily make some of these links available for course building. There was also a question about whether or not we're looking for more government resources.
Absolutely. I have not found anything for government right now. I found the history, but I haven't found government. Would love to find something for that. Yes.
Last call for questions for Beth, and then there have been a number of questions about the distinctions between what you get with membership, and so I think we can talk about that in the final slides. Are there any other questions specifically about Hippocampus? Okay, I think we can bounce over to the slides just to wrap real quick. If you go back one slide for me. Just a reminder, so what we were looking at was the member sites. And so the member Hippocampus sites primarily differ in the terms of use at the site. The terms of use at the site allow for institutional rights of use. At the public Hippocampus site, it says individual rights of use. So an individual teacher or an individual student may use the public Hippocampus without concern, but we ask folks that have come to rely on the content for broader institutional purposes, for full courses, to become members so we can sustain this project over time. And again, we provide additional helps for people who are building courses using those objects so that they seamlessly integrate into their learning management system without going through the front door of Hippocampus. Again, we have mappings to state and national standards on the branded site, and there's no advertising at all on the site. So it gets to the seamless integration of the resources into the courses you might wish to build with those. Next slide, Beth. And then just overall, what comes with membership is really access, unlimited use of all of the NROC resources, and we do have additional curricular resources available to support instruction. Everything from assessments to grading rubrics to teachers' manuals, student guides. We have a monthly webinar series. This is part of that. Sometimes we open those up to a broader audience. And then the most important thing is really implementation support. So as you're thinking about using these resources, we have a tech support team and an implementation team to help you make use of these resources in broader ways. So to redesign your developmental math curriculum, for instance, or we work within the member community to facilitate collaboration to build new courses. So as I mentioned, some of our members have been trying to put together a new history course using some of the new history resources that we have. So some of that joint development effort happens through the membership community too. And we continue to work to build new tools and new resources like the new English materials that will be coming, as well as the new EdReady project. Are there other questions about membership before we move on? Great. I think we can go to the last slide then, Beth.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Beth. This was very helpful just to give everyone a look at what's new. And like all of our webinars, this recording will be archived at nrocnetwork.org. Next month, we'll be sharing with our members a sneak peek of the new EdReady application, which we're going to roll out to our members to have a little bit of early access with. But you can go to edready.org and learn a little bit more about that new tool. In the meantime, edready.org will be it's a diagnostic tool and integrated interventions in math and English to make help students get college ready in a more efficient way. And so we're really excited to roll that out. And ultimately, I think, Beth, won't some of this hippocampus content in other disciplines perhaps work its way into EdReady, right?
I think so, as EdReady expands, certainly starting with the math content and then expanding as EdReady expands. It'll be great.
We're really excited. EdReady is going to allow for a lot of different kind of interventions, including a lot of Creative Commons licensed materials. So we encourage you to follow that project. And if you have questions about membership or questions about this webinar, feel free to email us at the email in the bottom of this slide. Thanks so much, everyone. We look forward to seeing you down the line.